Good morning.
Good morning, Lisa. How are you?
I am doing really well. I'm super excited about today.
So am I. Oh my goodness, we've waited so very long for this moment and it's finally here.
Yes, it's so exciting. We have some amazing surprise guests today. This is a
And
pop-up surprise episode. So I hope everybody is as excited as we are about this particular episode. Today is the premiere of the Great Canadian Baking Show, Season 8.
whoop, 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 whoop,
Woo!
whoop. So
So
excited.
excited. And our friends are in it, and we're going to have so much fun watching them. I'm going to a watch party this evening with Jen, who lives here in town. She's hosting one at a local pub, so I'm super excited about that. And yeah, it's going to be great.
Oh, and you know what? The cast looks absolutely incredible. So many great stories, and we're just scratching the surface. This is just what CBC has put out there for us to
Yes.
have those little tidbits of who we might expect and what kind of personalities will be on season 8. And I can tell you, I am so excited for this season, probably more so than any other season, mainly because obviously we have one of our good friends, Christine
Yes.
Campbell, who's actually going to be one of the bakers this year, and Jen Childs as well, who we know and love and has been persevering so much to, after 8 seasons of applying for the show, she finally has her chance to show her stuff in that tent.
Yes.
So super excited for her, but so many other wonderful new people that we've been
Mhm.
able to meet since they were introduced a few weeks back.
Yeah.
And they're all incredible. I think this is going to be such an awesome season.
Mhm.
So much good baking
Yep.
that we're going to be able to see, but more so all the stories that I'm really looking forward to finding out who all these people really, really are. And they just seem so incredible to this point. So I
Yes.
cannot wait. It's like Christmas morning here.
I know. I feel the same way. And with that added layer of now that we have this platform and we're going to be able to invite them on and speak to each one of them individually,
Mhm.
if they're interested. So
Please
having
come
that
join us.
extra layer again, of being able to get to know them in a deeper way, and being able to share that with everybody who's interested in watching the show. So yeah, you're right. Such a great looking batch of bakers. Just their stories are amazing. Everything that they've been putting out on social media since the announcement has been so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
I'm really, really excited about this year.
Yeah, same here. Now, are there any bakers? So now that you've been able to stalk them a little on Instagram and maybe make a few connections
Yeah.
with them over the last few weeks, is there anybody in particular that you think might be a standout that we can, like, what are your early predictions? I know it's even before we've even seen the first episode, but is there anybody that sticks out in your mind right now that could take the cake plate?
It's funny that you mentioned that because last night I actually dreamed about hanging out with the winner of the show, but it wasn't actually any of the bakers who are in there this season. Although I have to
Somebody
say,
new?
yeah, I think it might have been Lauren actually,
Oh,
Lauren who won season 6. It was a young person. That being said, I also fell asleep watching the latest episode of the Great British Bake Off yesterday. Oh, sorry, no, Great Australian Bake Off yesterday, and there's a 16-year-old on that. So maybe she
Molly. Yeah.
found her way into my dreams. I'm not sure. But Jen Childs, I have to say, she's definitely a standout for me. I'm also looking at Pamela.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by both of them.
Yes. I think you're right. I think those two are definitely in my top three.
Mhm.
Um, Certainly Jen, just because I love her story and the fact that she has been able to hone her skills for this long.
Mhm.
And I think she definitely is one of my top contenders right
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
I love what Pamela's doing too, so she's definitely there as well. And then if I would say who the third person would be in the finale, I would probably go with Marcus. Um,
Yep.
some of his Instagram page is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Really elegant designs. His work is pure perfection.
It is. It's very
So I would
streamlined.
say And plus, he's a local boy here too. Richmond, BC. Go BC with Jen and Marcus. Wouldn't it be great to have two BC bakers in that final? And then
Fantastic.
our girl Pamela as well. So those would
Yeah.
be my three early picks. But
But
as,
we haven't seen them bake yet.
no, we have
No,
not.
no,
That's
but
just
I'm gonna have to agree with your picks there. Of course, we want our beautiful Christine to go far.
yes.
Yeah, so we're not counting her out. I think we're just
No,
trying not
no.
to be like not to say her just because she's our friend.
A friend,
You know?
exactly. And we want to see Christine go all the way to the finale as
We
well. You know,
do.
we love you, Christine.
We love
Oh,
you.
we can't wait to see you do your stuff in the tent. What an amazingly talented baker she is,
She
too.
is
Yeah,
such and so proud for her to be the first New Brunswick baker, and for Patty, the first visibly the person with a visible disability in the tent.
exactly. And I think, I think that's beautiful that she's using her platform and
Yes.
her history and her story to actually share that, look, I think sometimes people get a little scared. They don't
Mhm.
know what to say. They don't know how to act.
Mhm.
I think that's, kind of a natural reaction to some extent, rightfully
Yeah,
or wrongfully. I think that
yeah,
happens.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, I mean, this world is such a beautiful place with so much diversity, so many interesting people. Patty is a lovely human being who has such a cool story and
yeah.
inspiring story. She has dealt with so much adversity.
And she's hilarious.
Oh my goodness, what a positive and fun force she will be in that tent this season. And I
Yeah,
couldn't be cheering for her to go all the
yeah.
way as well. I mean, so many favorites, so many
I
amazing
know.
people, so many
I
great stories. It's like,
I
how do you
feel the same way.
choose?
We don't have to choose. We just get to watch and enjoy, and we're just going
Right?
to evaluate them as they go along. So,
I can say this would be a good segue for
mhm.
maybe.
What?
I would say Kyla and Bruno have
Yes,
a very, very challenging
job.
job ahead of them.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I would say they do. So why don't we talk to them about it?
That's a really good idea. When do
I
you
think
think
we
we
should
can get
ask.
them on?
Let's ask Kyla and Bruno to be on our show. Kyla and Bruno, would you please come and join us on our show? Everybody, please welcome Kyla Kennaley and Bruno Feldeisen.
Woohoo! Yes! And
Hi, thank you so
hi,
much for being here with us today.
Hello.
we are so excited and so honored that you guys have taken time out of your busy schedules to come and join us today. We can't wait to get into it with you guys on the upcoming season of Great Canadian Baking Show, which is launching today. We seriously, I don't think I've been more excited for a new season of my favorite show, the Great
Mhm.
Canadian Baking Show.
Yeah, yeah. We were just talking about how it looks like it's shaping up to be such a great season, and it's, the anticipation is like, ah, can't
Yeah,
wait.
it's like Christmas morning.
It's an incredible group of bakers. I know we can't tell you too much, but
Yeah.
it's spectacular. So
That's okay.
Yeah.
We kind of want to get to know a little bit more about the two of you. Like,
Mhm.
we like to kind of delve into people's backstories here on our show. And we usually start off by asking what we've been baking lately. I did not ask Christina what she's been baking lately because we baked something for each of you
For
today.
you guys.
Okay.
So I wish you could taste them, but I mean, it's easier on us if you don't have to judge it that way. So Bruno, I know
Yeah.
how much you like butter, and
Yeah.
I thought, what can I bake that has a lot of butter in it? And I have Dutch heritage, so I baked you a boterkoek. So there you go, full on
Mhm.
butter cake. That is for you this morning. So enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I had the honor of baking something special for you, Kyla. And I know when we met up in London a few years ago, one of the things you shared with me is your love for soccer tort and going to Vienna and finally getting a chance to try that. So I have made you a soccer tort.
oh my God, look at that shine. Look at that shine. Oh, beautiful.
Yay!
Nice.
Try not to drop it.
Oh
So
my God.
So why don't we start with you, Bruno? Can you tell us a little bit of your backstory and how you got started with the world of food and baking, etc.?
How did I start it? I got kicked out of school when I was 15. You know, the school system in France is very strict and elitist. And I was looking to do something of my life, and I couldn't find anything inspiring. And then one day I was walking down the street, and I saw this very old chocolate shop looking for an apprentice. And, you know, I walk in, and it was just a lot of sound, lot of scent, smells. I'm like, why not? You know, and I did a 2 year apprenticeship in one of France's oldest chocolate shop. And from there, you know, I started to explore anything coming with food, you know, from butchering, bread, cooking, back and forth between different. Sorry, my dog is giving me an attitude here. Stop it.
That's okay.
And started to work in the field of cooking at 15 years old. No regrets. That was not my goal. My goal, I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to fly planes.
Oh.
So a little bit of a different departure, no pun intended.
A bit, you know, still a lot of methods to follow. You know, I mean, if you want to do a good recipe, you have to do your checklist.
That's
pretty
true.
much like a pilot. Yeah.
So is that something that's still kind of on your bucket list, or have you?
I did a little flying when I was living in. Sorry, stop it.
No, it's
when
okay.
I was living, she's a puppy, and when I was living in California, you know, I live in LA for a couple of years. I used to fly out of Santa Monica Airport, but you know what? It's an expensive hobby.
Yes.
Yes, it definitely is.
And I live in Vancouver now, so the weather is not that great to fly. You know. Unless you enjoy the foggy days. And
yeah, there are a lot of foggy days. That's
foggy days. Like today, I mean, it's awful today. I don't know where you are located, but
I know.
Yeah, I took my dogs out for a walk this morning, and I was like, okay, so now I'm drenched, and it's time to get ready for a podcast. Very wet over here.
It is very gloomy. I'm in White Rock area, actually.
Okay.
It's just,
and I'm in Victoria, so
not a nice day today.
Kyla's the one who's out of our time zone today. So what's it like over there?
Yeah, well, in London it rains every day, so I mean we just accept that as part of our daily routine. But actually today was lovely. It's the temperature range is actually a little bit like Vancouver. Maybe it seems to be between 4 and 14 all year round. There doesn't seem to be but we might have one day over 25, but that's about it for summer. Yeah, so I guess we're in winter now. I see people in their big hoodies and jackets and everything. So, but it's probably like 12 degrees or something.
Oh, fair enough. So
summer for Toronto.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, you know, we are heading into the fall, and I actually love this time of year. It's one of my favorites because it really does inspire people to get back and get cozy. And for me, coziness means getting in your kitchen and baking and getting ready for the holiday season. We've got, as Canadians, our Thanksgiving is coming up next weekend, and super excited to do that. So, but going to you, Kyla, thanks for sharing how you got started, Bruno. I'd love to understand a little bit more, Kyla, of how you got into baking. And I think, you know, you were early in the kitchen with your family, your mom and grandmother.
Yes. My mother and my grandmother were chefs, and on my mother's side, I have Polish ancestry, and I actually never knew my grandmother. I never got to meet her. She died at my age right now. Actually, she was 52 when she passed, but she was famous for making tables full of donuts. So she would work in restaurants all day and then come home and still bake on the weekends. And so that's why I think it was just always in my blood. My mother is a tremendous cook, and sort of my claim to fame when I was a little girl. I studied at National Ballet School in Toronto, and I was there for 2 years until they realized I was really just teaching the other little girls how to bake brownies. And there was we parted ways, and I became a chef, and they all became ballerinas. So I mean, really, I've always, my first job outside of the home cooking was at a good old Tim Hortons back in the day when we made donuts. And so I have my burn marks there. It's not the fanciest of places to learn, but it was my first job outside of the home, working in bakery, but always in the industry.
Yeah.
Well, we would have had a very different show today if we had a ballerina and a pilot on.
Yes.
Well, yeah, there you go. That's our, you don't know, that's our sidebar, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Everybody's got to have one, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Now, and then you were a flight attendant at one point as well. So it would have been really interesting, actually, had Bruno gotten his pilot's license and you were a flight attendant. You guys actually might have made a
We have
Sliding
met
doors.
somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, sliding doors. We would be partners in crime somewhere, eh, Bruno?
Yeah.
Somehow.
Because you guys are certainly partners in crime now, which is awesome, as judges of the Great Canadian Baking Show. Now, what was your journey to get to being a judge on the Great Canadian Baking Show?
Frankly, I never planned to do any kind of television career. I mean, a lot of chefs think about it, but I never planned. Some chefs try very hard. For me, one day I got a phone call from someone asking me if I was interested. And I remember I said no the first time because I wasn't given much details about it.
Mm-hmm.
I was just asked to come to Toronto, try out, and I keep asking, what is it for? But very vague commands. And I think the first phone call I say no, I said, I know better chefs to do it, but I'm not interested. And then they call me back again, flew to Toronto, and here it is, we did some on-camera testing, and I guess they like me, for me, it's been an incredible journey, when it's not planned, the sweeter for sure.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
you've been there from day one of Great Canadian Baking Show.
Yeah. I've seen the tremendous amount of talent involved, hard work, the contribution of so many people you never see or heard to make the show such an amazing show,
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a huge village to make it happen. For sure.
Yeah,
It
the
really
best show
does.
on TV in my books.
100%. We're going to have to say that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's been wonderful to see how everybody else has discovered it. I think COVID kind of helped with that to a point because all of a sudden everybody was baking bread and then everybody discovered that, oh, hey, look at this amazing show that feels like home and is so cozy, and everybody, even though they're technically competing against each other, everybody is just like this big baking family. And it's been wonderful to just see how it has grown and expanded and become such an important part of the Canadian vernacular and even outside of Canada, because we've talked to so many people from Australia, from the UK, from the States who, they know about the show and they love the show. And it's been fantastic to see. Yeah. And then Kyla, you ended up coming in sort of, they changed horses midstream a little bit. And tell us a little bit about how that happened for you.
Well, I was kind of in some ways, maybe I'll say, known to the CBC family for many years. I was a pastry expert on Stephen and Chris, which is the other great Canadian show. And so that was something that was really fun to go in every month and share a recipe. And so, I had a bit of a relationship with CBC in that regard because of my bakery in Toronto. And I've been away too long. I said Toronto, didn't I? Toronto.
I alternate between them.
I go back and forth. Anyway, and yeah, so I was a little bit known to some of the production teams. So in the first couple of years, when the show first came out and they were having the auditions, I didn't participate in that because I was really busy with other projects I was working on. And then when I got a phone call asking me to come in and meet with Bruno and meet with the team, it was a real pleasure. It was a little bit like Bruno in that they didn't say much about it. They just said, "Can you come in and say hello and do a little audition?" And it was just just right from the minute I walked in the door. You just feel right at home. And the minute that Bruno and I walked into the tent together,
Mhm.
at the beginning of the third season. Was the beginning of the third season? I think so. It
Yeah.
was like I had just relocated for the most part. I'm a long leaver. I'm still, half in Canada, half here. But I walked in and it was like combining all of Fee's Landing is the place where I grew up. It was like combining my childhood at Fee's Landing, the store, the shop looks like the tent, my bakery, like there were actually pieces in there that I sort of think came out of my bakery. Like it was just like home. And it was just such a beautiful fit. And it's just like I look forward to it. For me, it's camp, coming and being part of it. And the bakers, like it just I get speechless and verklempt thinking about the bakers, like what they do and what they do to get into the tent. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's a process for sure.
Yeah. And it seems like every year, the batch of bakers get even more incredible. Like there's level of skill and precision. Are you finding the same thing as well? Like,
Yeah, I think they're getting bolder. They know the possibilities now, and they just go for it. I think the skills always been around, but I think people in previous seasons were not as daring as what we see today.
Yeah, that's a good point, definitely, because I'm certainly everybody who's been in the past seasons has been skilled. I mean, but yeah, you're right. There has been an evolution of the challenges and what people are doing with the challenges themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Sorry.
Oh, no. Go ahead, Kyla.
Oh, I was just gonna say one of the nice anchors though that I think is I love, and Raffi Cat is the first person who always comes to mind at this, is that it's still about the baking. It isn't the show about the show. It's not the Great Canadian Decorated Cake Show. It's the Great Canadian Baking Show. And it just, I love that about it. I mean, I'm so biased because we get to eat it, but it's just so great to have great baking.
Yeah, that's actually a question, because especially when you're tasting all those different things, or when you're judging a technical, I don't know, is it like when you're smelling perfume and you have to like smell coffee beans in between just to kind of like clear your palate and start over again? Or is it when you're just tasting a bunch of the same thing?
Well, I mean, we drink a lot of water.
Okay.
And you may recall one particular challenge where we drank a lot of milk and ate a lot of bread in between. There was one particularly spicy round that we did with these fabulous. I mean, it was delicious, but honestly, we did take little breaks in between so that we could actually taste them.
Right.
And that thing that the viewer doesn't see is that we do sometimes have to say, okay, we need to, stop for a minute, clear our head, and come back for more. But it's the hardest thing is remembering. I don't know if you agree with me, Bruno, but the hardest thing is remembering, only take one or two bites.
Yeah.
Oh, especially if something tastes
sometimes we get carried away when it's so good.
It's so good. And then you're like, oh no, there's 10 more.
I mean, it is harder on the first 2 or 3 episodes because there is, we start with 10 bakers. So we're talking about, 30 different bites minimum. And then you had a hot day on it. And, the first few episodes can be a bit challenging, just to digest, just to go home and digest everything.
We walk a lot. It's a beautiful property, so we walk around whenever we're not in the tent. So that's
you're probably not hungry a lot after that.
When there is a sugar crash, then you go crave for something else, but it's an interesting dynamics. You try to skip breakfast, and depending on what time you're going to eat, we might skip lunch because we know there is something coming up right after.
Yeah, so, you must look forward to the savory bakes sometimes.
Yes.
Some days, yeah.
Having that balance.
Balance is key.
Like when we did the ham pies, the form pies,
hard to stick to 2 bites of that one, hey?
Yeah.
I bet. No, so I guess that's where we're starting season 8 today. Again, we can't tell you how excited we are with this batch of bakers. And I know you guys are, you're sworn to secrecy, but is there anything that you can share with our audience about what we can come to expect for season 8 bakers?
As delicious as it can be.
Don't
You won't be
watch the show on
disappointed.
an empty
You won't be
stomach.
disappointed.
Okay,
Make
good
sure
point.
you have baking. Do it, yeah, for everyone who loves to bake along, definitely come, plan your Sunday afternoons to bake something because it really is mouth-watering.
Oh
Oh,
man, I'm so
can't wait.
excited. Yeah, I've been baking along since season 5. I baked a few, like occasionally here and there, but since season 5, I've done every single bake. And so I'm very excited about doing that again this time. So,
Do you have a favorite?
a favorite of all that I've baked?
Yeah, like was there something that you put into your repertoire that now is your go-to because you've made it? Now we'll interview you.
Oh man. Okay, so I'm thinking through so many things. You know that I had never had a Boston cream pie and I didn't know that it was a cake. So I really, really, really enjoyed the Boston cream pie. For one of the cookie challenges, I ended up, I made a diorama of our wedding day. And I loved it. I thought, I mean, obviously that's not part of my repertoire, but the cookie that I made was my honey white pepper gingerbread. And so now that is a staple for me to use that gingerbread for all kinds of things. And yeah, I've made decorated cookies and given it out to people, and that's the recipe that I always use because it's got this nice little bite of white pepper in it. Christina likes it a lot. So,
so delicious. Oh man, I still dream about the first time I actually took a bite of that cookie. It's incredible.
But it's just been fun to try things I haven't tried before. So
yeah. Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Even for us, like when Bruno and I, and all year long, we're always like collaborating, like sharing ideas. Oh, what recipes, what's interesting, or have you seen this, or, have you thought of that, or I'm traveling here, this is amazing. And that's what I think, like it's coming out of cooking professionally or baking professionally, where, when in my bakery, it was a large scale production. So it's repetition. And you mentioned Thanksgiving and I smile because I don't have to make it, a few thousand pies this week. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do, and I just have to make one. Like, I don't know how to do that. But it is amazing to explore these recipes. Like I remember the marjolaine, and that was one that tipped me off. Like I was like, oh my God, a French buttercream. Like I think I learned that in pastry school, but haven't made it since. It's to rediscover some of those things. I think is amazing about this.
Yeah,
great.
that is amazing.
And to see that, pastry, cakes, pies, breads can be found all over the world. It's not, we see it sometimes in a very narrow point of view, but, we've seen with the past season that you can discover cakes and pies from, Argentina, Uruguay, I mean, you name it. And I think that's the beauty of it. It's not only a baking show, it's almost like a travel show.
Yeah.
It is.
Behind. Yeah.
It's really quite incredible. So I'll ask you guys that same question that you asked Lisa. Kyla, what has been your favorite bake that you've had over the past seasons?
Can I turn it around and have a true confession moment?
Sure.
Of course.
Yes, we'd love that.
When we made the Pyroline cookies, the pirouette cookies.
The ones where my oven stopped working. Yeah, that was
okay. Wow. It was no one's favorite from what I understand, and it is one I will never make again because and I thought I would be good at it. I love to make tuile, but for some reason that is my arch enemy in the cookie world. It was not my friend, and we all had a good laugh about it in the bakers too. But yeah, that's my dark secret. That's the one I'll never touch again. I mean, oh my gosh, there's so many. I don't know, Bruno. I'll defer to you. What's your go-to now? What's your favorite?
Well, I go through phases. I will have an obsession with one product. I think I'm obsessed more with product and recipes themselves. Like now it's apple seasons in BC. So I got a bowl of local apple yesterday, and I know what I'm going to do this weekend. And I'm going to play with mushrooms and apples this weekend. Because we went foraging. We're in full swing. So more of that to see what we can do with combination, how we can treat the product and keep its authenticity, so not overbake, not adding too much sugar.
Mhm.
So it's just more playful than being stuck with one recipe. That's the way I operate. And then
Oh.
I will not touch apples for maybe 2 years, 3 years, and work on something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I learned on this show from a baker was to put black pepper, like telecherry pepper, so not white pepper, but black pepper in gingerbread, because I thought I had the best gingerbread recipe in the world. Small nod to the old Canadian living recipes from 1979 or 80, whenever the magazine first came out. But I really thought I made the best gingerbread in the world. And when I tasted it, and I can't remember who did it first, but there's quite a few bakers who do it with the black pepper in the recipe, and that's something that's become a staple for me.
Right.
So I've adapted my own, I thought, world famous recipe
because
of the show. So there you go.
Those old Canadian living recipes, their carrot cake recipe is like one of my absolute favorites.
Honestly, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Christina doesn't like it because it has pineapple in it, but I love putting pineapple in it. Yeah.
Each their own. I just have a really lovely carrot cake recipe that doesn't call for pineapple or raisins or nuts. Nuts are optional, but
there's somebody just on the other side of that wall who would love your recipe then. Bonnie is like, no raisins, no pineapple. I'm like,
just carrots. Just carrots and
carrot cake purist.
Lots of great spices. And then I layer it between the layers with some nice elements of surprise. So caramel and like a Biscoff cookie crumble, that kind of stuff. So yes.
You have an open invitation here, I think, with that.
And brown butter and brown butter cream cheese icing.
Oh, see,
so you don't need the raisins.
I've got this cake sitting here now. I want to start eating because that's all sounding.
Go ahead. Don't wait for us. Go ahead.
I wish I could share. What do you think, Christina? Should we play our this or that game just to make sure that we stick with our time here?
Yes, we absolutely should. Yes. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have tuned in before. If you have, wow, we're so excited. But if you haven't, this is a totally fun game of this or that. There are no right or wrong answers. There might be a little bit of judgment here and there, but really it was not serious.
She always says it's a no judgment zone, but she judges me hard. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah. Our guests are usually not judged as hard as I judge Lisa. But anyway, so we will start it all off. Lisa, do you want to start us off?
Sure. Okay. So question for both of you. Take turns answering. Sweet or savory bakes?
I was savory and now I'm both.
Okay.
Both on the same day.
Both on the same day.
Both on the same day. It's called balance, right?
I mean, that's what it's all about. You got to find balance.
Yeah.
There's always a time for savory. I like savory.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I love a good savory bake just as much as I love a sweet bake. So I think that would be a difficult question for me as well. But for both of you guys, what is your ultimate favorite savory bake? Or the best you've ever had?
Maybe for me was a bakery in Richmond with a salted egg yolk kind of bun, very chewy, unexpected, very unique texture and flavor, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a bit sweet too. Yeah, it was very interesting. And I loved it.
Nice. We'll have to get the name of that bakery.
Yes, definitely do. And Kyla, how about for you?
Oh, are we thinking from a bakery? Shamelessly, I was thinking, what do I make? They have a great chestnut pie. It's like, it kind of tastes like stuffing, but it's in a pie and it's absolutely amazing. And it goes really well if you do that in a little piece of tortilla. It's like, heaven on a plate. But actually, there used to be a Chinese bakery on Baldwin Street in Toronto, and anyone from Toronto will know it well. And I want to say it was called Yin Sing. I'm not sure. They're not there anymore, but the family who ran it for a century, I think. And so the savory buns there were just to die for.
Buns. It's all about the buns.
Yeah, it's that bread, right? I mean, you can never go wrong with a nice, well-baked bread as a vessel for all the wonderful flavors. Anything, anything on its own, filled, whichever. Yeah,
Bread is
amazing.
life.
Yeah, bread is life. Bread is so life. Cake or pie?
Pie.
Yeah, I guess pie too.
Really?
Pie?
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
you just caked out. You've had too many cakes.
Mm,
It's not next always to me. It's special occasion, maybe pies maybe
okay.
every day.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fair. That's fair. And do you have a favorite type of pie, Bruno?
Summer will be any kind of berry pie,
Mhm.
sweet and sour, and winter, I stick that to the apple or
Mhm.
pear pie.
And then what?
I had a persimmon pie the other day, was quite good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
sounds really good. Yeah.
So your berry pies, do you do them with the fresh berries or do you cook down your berries in the summer?
So I have, it's a bit controversial because I use fresh and frozen.
Oh,
Yeah, I use fresh
Oh,
and frozen.
so you have both the textures.
Yeah, just to control, like I love blueberries,
Mhm.
but we all know blueberries can be on and off depending on the seasons
Mhm.
and the rain. And sometimes the blueberry can be quite sour and the skin can be thick and they can be tasteless.
Mhm.
So, using frozen, I think helps to manage the whole pie situation.
Yeah.
And I do
Berries.
the same with apple pie. I use fresh apple, I use canned apple, and I use frozen apple when I do it.
Hmm.
So you put a mixture of all three together?
Yeah.
Wow.
And Kyla, you're nodding, so you think this is
Yeah.
a
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
and especially if you think about seasonality and you think about and it's all about making choices, in the scope of where you're at. But there's a lot to be said actually for frozen fruits and vegetables that are picked ripe in season and flash frozen immediately,
at the right
and
time.
especially if they're allowed to ripen on the vine or on the tree or and yeah, no, absolutely. And Bruno, I've got a recipe where you actually just put the fresh blueberries
Yeah.
on the bottom and then you make a sauce with
Uh-huh.
the it's probably similar. I mean, this is a classic recipe, but with the frozen blueberries, and you just pour them on so the heat of the sauce kind of cooks the blueberries. And yeah, so I'm thinking of that right now when you're describing yours.
It's a
Yum.
great tip. Okay. Signature, technical or showstopper? Which is your favorite to judge?
Oh.
Kyla, go ahead.
Oh.
Okay. I judge them all
No.
with the same love and enthusiasm.
Yeah. Yeah, you can, they're all so, I mean, one, we get to eat 10 versions of a similar thing, which is amazing. Technical is like, how do you say, sometimes it's fabulous, sometimes it's a
Sometimes.
surprise.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
Showstopper, I mean, like it's just heart and soul in every bite. So
Yeah, there have been some showstopper moments, Kyla, that have really stopped the show for us. Like watching your reactions to certain bakes that made you cry or that stopped you in your
Mhm.
tracks. They just have, it's been so heartwarming for us to be kind of like let into that little bit of window of your life.
like you can taste people's story, right? You can
Yeah.
taste like that energy, right? Hey, Bruno, it's just like, oh, yeah.
And it looks like it takes you guys back to moments in your lives too that were so special, and taking that bite of somebody else's, just brings up all those memories, and you can totally see it on your faces. It's just, it's one of the most endearing parts of the show, I think, honestly, is seeing that love and then seeing your reaction to that love that people are baking.
I mean, you can look at recipes of just words and numbers, but I think recipe are much more than that, So when bakers show up on a show with recipe that means so much to them, of course, when we test it, there is so much behind, that story. And, and we see the reaction we have on TV. It's just sometimes overwhelming in terms of creativity and flavors, and, and it creates reaction.
Yeah. Well, like they say, love is the secret ingredient to any good bake. So Yeah.
Yeah. I
Wonderful.
think it's wonderful that the two of you handle the bakes with such care. And what I mean by that is because when we're offering something to you and saying, okay, here's something that I have created, it's like it's your baby, right? And you want it to be received with as much care as you've put into it. And the two of you judge with a lot of care. And so it's beautiful to see. And I think that's also part of what makes the show so wonderful to watch. Oh, that
How do
was
you do that?
me.
How do
Did
you
you
do
know
this?
that was going
How
to
do you
happen,
do that?
Kyla?
I don't know how it happens. I
Doesn't-
just know it does.
Wow. Yeah,
That's
that's so it's
perfect.
wonderful for all of us to watch, you know.
Mhm.
I
You're
think
fair,
we
but
understand the amount of investment in time
Mhm.
that the baker brings to us, and
Mhm.
so we got to be very respectful to that.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I think also when there is, I think the other great thing is not only are you praising the great work that's being done for every bake, but I think also if there is, something that the baker needs to work on, the gentleness and the kindness that is used in that communication to the baker is just so beautiful as well. And it's a real learning opportunity. I think the bakers kind of accept it as exactly that and not a criticism or a harsh sort of critical, piece of it. So I think it's really heartwarming to see that piece as well come out in the show so nicely and how you judge. It really is beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, so thank you for that because
Mhm.
on behalf of all of the bakers who I know have stood in front of you and presented their babies, it's wonderful to know that you are giving them that much respect and care and being honest at the same time, like
Mhm.
being fair about what is not going correctly or, what needs to be improved upon. So we love to see it.
Yep,
Mhm.
absolutely. Now, on a technical bake, have there been, and some of these are challenging. They're tough, and a lot of work, and the time constraints, and then all the other elements that you have to deal with when you're in that tent are massive. It's not like baking in your own kitchen. Was there ever a technical bake that you guys put out there that you didn't think the bakers would actually get through?
Many, many of
Many.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there are lots of moments where we say, "Oh my gosh, oh, oh," and they're like, "Okay, wow." And you don't want to be like too surprised that they did it, but we are sometimes, "Oh, right, wow, we didn't know that how it was going," because we don't get to see any of that what's going on in the tent at that time,
Mhm.
right? So we
Mhm.
have no idea from the minute Ann and Alan send us off, we don't know, and so yeah, when you come back, so. I mean, I'm pleased that they all had 20 pirouette cookies on the table.
And
That was
burned
a big one.
And
fingertips.
burned fingers. Yes.
We never see the
Yeah, no, but
struggle.
No, you don't
sorry,
see the struggle.
We don't see the struggle.
we don't
Okay,
see it.
who came up with the 1,000-layer moon cakes last season?
Yes.
Was it you, Kyla?
That was a good one. Come
Well,
on.
we did it. So we
Yeah.
did it blind. So we decided that we weren't going to watch the show, and we got Steve Levitt to write up a recipe or to take the CBC recipe and pare it down the way he thought it would be done on the show. So Christine Campbell, who's our best buddy,
Who's
and
on season
and
8?
who's on season 8, the three of us got together and we shopped for the ingredients that Steve told us to get, and we used his recipe and we did it, and it was so hard. He was like, I can't believe you picked this week to do this technical. Yeah.
We couldn't have done the Boston cream pie one. Nope. Nope. It had to be the 1,000-layer moon cake.
And Steve,
Yeah.
like our Steve, yeah.
Yes.
Steve Levitt.
Yeah.
And he
I
judged
bet
us.
he made it harder for you, and I hope he's listening and hears me saying that.
He will.
I'm sure he increased the difficulty of the challenge just for you guys.
Oh,
But it was awesome.
No
Yeah.
matter what, everybody finishes it.
Yeah.
yeah. It's
I don't
quite
recall an
impressive.
episode where nobody couldn't do it.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's
Yeah.
true.
That's
We've
true.
never had an empty plate.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, maybe it could be a bit short sometimes on the numbers or not visually that great, but I will say it's a 99% success on every single
For
season.
finishing. Yeah.
That shows you the level of
90%. There was that one
Yeah.
technical
Yeah.
challenge.
But that shows you the level of skills you can
Mhm.
expect, on every season. They are
Yes.
not afraid. And for us, Kyla and I, to really come up with something more challenging every year, it's like, we're scratching our head. It's like, what can we do this year to make it, interesting and
No
challenging?
kidding.
Well, can't wait to see what you guys have thrown the bakers' way for season 8. I'm sure there'll be some doozies.
Oh, we're so excited. We're so excited.
So excited.
To watch. Yeah.
Chocolate or vanilla?
These are hard questions. Sorry.
Dark chocolate. Dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate?
Yeah, chocolate. Yeah.
Okay.
Lately it's just hard to get some good vanilla, that good flavors, I think.
Mm.
So it's like chasing the ultimate flavor. So stick to chocolate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can never go wrong with some chocolate, right?
Love
Yeah.
chocolate.
Yeah. And dark chocolate for you as well for you, Bruno?
You know what? Milk chocolate
Milk.
for
That's
me.
what I like. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Belgium ones, the
Mhm.
milk chocolate from Belgium is a bit better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not
And I guess your first experience with chocolate working for the most famous.
Yeah. My first
chocolate
job was
shop.
to
So,
do
yeah.
everything from scratch. We will, get the almond in summer, boil them, remove the skin, and make marzipan, makes Jean du Jus. I mean, you name it, from scratch. But milk chocolate from Belgium, I think, I believe in the process in Belgium, they had the sugar at the beginning
Mhm.
of the crunching process. So the chocolate has a bit of a caramelized taste to it
Okay.
compared to the Swiss process where they do tend to add the sugar toward the end on the crunching process. So yeah, Belgium chocolates.
Okay.
Sounds so good, right?
I mean, I would still hit Swiss one, but
You really
You're not
were
gonna-
in the right place at the right time, walking down that street when you were.
I mean, now there is good chocolate everywhere. Like
Mm.
I got the other day some dark chocolate from Bellingham across the border, local made artisan, and it's probably one of the best I had the last few
Wow.
years.
Oh, which shop was that?
It's not a shop, so they sell it at the Co-op in Bellingham,
Okay.
and I think it's called Kula or Luca chocolate.
Okay.
And a small production out of Bellingham that's very tasty, very good, and frankly, as good as some of the top brand chocolates.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, I hope you told them that.
Oh, they know.
Yeah.
Good.
I went to visit their facility. It's top chocolates.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, love
Yeah.
it to hear that the local production is really top notch. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
there is one in Vancouver too, for very small production, quite expensive, but it's a Society of Women Shelter in
Oh.
East Van. East Van chocolate, I think East Van Roaster. They do
Okay.
coffee and they do an amazing dark chocolate.
Definitely need to pop by there.
East
Mm.
Van Roaster. Yeah.
Okay.
East Van Roast.
Nice.
Okay. Macaron or choux?
You.
He's
Yeah,
laughing
choux.
at my pronunciation, I think.
Yeah, sure. I'm tired of I'm tired of macarons.
Yeah.
Tired of macaron.
Yeah. I grew up at a time where it was only coffee, chocolate, vanilla. That's all.
For macarons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, it's a bit overstretched and
Mm.
tiring. And shoes, there is something about it. That's
Yeah.
even the word shoe. It's nice.
And you as well, Kyla. You're a shoe gal.
And that's something I like. I know, like, it was a staple in our house. Like I didn't grow up in a family where we had cakes. We had pies, or we said profiteroles, but choux pastries, and just like filled with ice cream and fresh fruit, or chocolate sauce. Oh, with chocolate sauce. That's dark chocolate on a choux paste with vanilla ice cream.
Oh.
There you go.
You can never go wrong with that. And and choux. Oh, go ahead.
So, and I think there is so much you can do with choux paste. Much more exciting than macarons. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
And even savory choux. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
What did I say?
No, go ahead, Kyla. Yeah.
I mean, like, even like savory fillings in choux, it can be so amazing. Talk about your mushroom and apple. There's your vessel right there. Like,
yeah, for sure. When we were at the casting call for season 8 in Vancouver, Cristina brought some beautiful stuff, but her savory choux was like my favorite thing that I tasted. So she made chorizo. And so tell them what was in your choux.
Yeah, so it was like a homemade chorizo. I come from a Portuguese background. We're Portuguese immigrants, my family. And every fall, around this time of year, actually, we used to make our own homemade chorizo. And my mom's actually passed, sadly, about 5 years ago. But my dad's new partner, who's also Portuguese, also continues to make chorizo. So I'm going to actually be going there in a couple of weeks and making the batch for the year again, which I'm super excited about. But we had some left over from the last season, so I used that in preparing it. So I made I'm just trying to remember it. It was chorizo. There was some cream cheese, a bit of goat cheese in there as well, and then just different spices, fresh herbs, and things like that. A little bit of tomato paste, and I just made a little like sort of not a mousse, but kind of tried to get a similar consistency to that, and then filled the choux with it. And it had a Parmesan crackling on top, and yeah, it was
really good.
It was a good little bite.
Yeah.
I was happy with it.
Sounds like the perfect thing to serve if you were having a little cocktail party at the holidays or something. Like it just sounds so festive to me in my mind, especially with that little bit of tomato and yeah.
Yeah. And the choux was actually, it was almost very Christmassy actually, because I did the crackling, a bicolored crackling with the green and red that signified the colors of Portuguese flag.
But...
So it looked very Christmassy actually.
That's fabulous. Okay.
Tasted so good.
Wow.
But it was fun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. But yes, so the choux is like bread, right? It's such a great vessel for anything and everything savory or sweet, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
Cool. Traditional or experimental bakes?
The experiment is always based on classicals.
Okay. So take the traditional and then twist it up.
And I'm so traditional.
Oh, okay.
I love me a Boston cream pie.
Yeah,
I do too now.
You don't need to add anything to the cream.
Just
noted
on its own. So yeah, so on that note then, so if you were to do like the Boston cream pie, you would want it just the way it is, the regular yellow cake with the pastry cream filling with the chocolate glaze. Yeah. And then Bruno, you would probably want it with like,
elevated.
No, I wouldn't say elevated. I might change. I'm not a big fan of white cake.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I might use something else, if it's white, I might add a lot of lemon zest or instant coffee or, just to play another. I mean, I love Boston cream pie on its own, but yeah, I would not call it an experiment, just a little twist to it.
Yeah.
And I think pastry and baking experiment require so much food waste.
Yeah, that's true.
Cooking is different. Right. Cooking, you can experiment and still have something edible. Baking, I mean, we're talking about chemistry. So if you spend too much experimentation, you might end up with a lot of food waste.
Yeah, and it's expensive.
Little twist left and right.
Yeah, but sometimes those are when like the happy accidents happen too, right? When you are experimenting and it might not.
A lot of recipes came up from a lot of mistakes,
Yeah, so it's kind of fun to kind of do that, and even the ones when you are doing the trial and error, it's kind of nice because you still have something that's probably not horrible. It's still more than edible. It's still very enjoyable, and I think learning from that to make it the flavors a little bit more pronounced or better flavor combos, that kind of stuff. I think it's the fun of. I find it's one of the funnest parts of baking for me is experimenting with those different, elements or what have you, or even layering. So taking the classics, but then just elevating it with other things that you're filling the cake, a cake with. So stay true to the Boston cream, but maybe in the center you add like maybe a little bit of a crunchy element or something like that to it, right? Or
You like crunch, so I'm with you there. Yeah.
yes. See, I love the
Love
crunchiness.
it. I love texture in food. Like I'm just
Mhm.
so tactile. I just love, especially unexpected moments of texture. But
Right.
So now
Exactly.
this is making me want to ask both of you what your biggest baking, we always call it baking craps because it's a play on our name, baking scraps. But what was your biggest baking fail?
For me, was a fail that turned into a success.
Oh, okay, that's the best
Those are the
kind.
best.
I was in New York working at the Four Seasons, and we have this VIP event with a simple chocolate mousse cake, and ready to send. And we're talking about 200-300 people, ready to send the cake out, and there is a speech. The cake gets too soft. I say, okay, let's put them in the freezer for a few minutes. I forget them, get distracted. Then it was time to send them out, and they were like hard rock frozen. The moment of panic, we put one by one in the microwave. I'm like, too late. We send them like this. Hopefully they do more speech or whatever. And then the organizer and the VIP asked to see me at the end of the meal. And they said that was the best chocolate ice cream cake they ever had.
That's brilliant. That's
But
amazing.
a lot of stress, believe me. I thought I lost my job.
Oh,
I think it was the CEO of Four Seasons giving the speech right there. So of course.
yeah. Yeah. Well, thank goodness it turned into a success.
Yeah.
How about you, Kyla? Did yours turn into a success also?
well, I was going to say, actually, Bruno, your story is actually a lot like if you've ever read about Martha Stewart. She'll talk about that was the first event she catered where she was meant to make apple pies for 200 people and then burnt the tops of them all. But so she cut them into tiny little bite-sized pieces and put icing sugar on them and served them as a brulee version of an apple pie in this tiny bite-sized piece. So yeah, and there you go. And she's done okay. And
Yeah, she has.
but that was when she was first getting into catering. So yeah, I think there's always those kind of moments. Because I've been baking my whole life. I have such a distinct memory of being like, I don't know if I was like 8 years old or something like that, old enough to remember, but probably too young to be baking properly on my own. And I wanted to make an angel food cake for my mama for her birthday.
Oh.
But I didn't really quite understand mixing and folding and the importance of egg whites in an angel food cake. And so it was this big and I decorated it to look like a lifesaver. It was in the 70s, so you have to give me some slack. But it really did. Like that made me want to learn to do it right because I was mortified, that I did it wrong. And yeah, but I mean, anyway, so not a huge dramatic story, but it's imprinted on my mind the worst angel food cake I've ever made.
But you were 8. I think you could give yourself a little bit of grace. That first of all, you attempted.
But for young bakers out there, that range between 8 and 12 is a young, like people who are, you think that you should have the skills of Julia Child, right? Like it's a time in baking that I think is so important.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. All right. Cooking or baking?
Oh, you can't choose. You need to do both.
Well, yeah. Some people don't bake at all.
So different. They're so liberating in their own ways. Right? The constraints of a recipe is so freeing because when it's perfect, it's perfect. But then like shamelessly, I'll say, we're just having mussels and French bread for dinner tonight. And it's like, there's no recipe for that, right? You just make mussels. And that's just.
They're both freeing in different ways.
Yeah, I think the best chef always started as bakers or pastry chef.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, in the industry, there is a lot of top chefs started, just to learn the rigor of the process.
Yeah.
And then you feel free. I enjoy both. I think both has different approach in life. Cooking at the core is to survive. You go hunt, fish, harvest through millenniums. just to feed yourself, the family, and the community. The baking is different. Nobody bakes a cake because you're starving. Baking, it's about gifting, celebrating, offering. So the approach is different.
Yeah.
I enjoy both. I will not stick to one part.
Okay, we will give you that. Both of you, that's fine. It's a tie.
It's a, breakfast, brunch, lunch, or dinner? What's your favorite meal?
I love a brunch.
Mm-hmm.
That's all the meals in one. So it's the cheat, right?
Yeah.
You can have anything for brunch. It's called frittata, right?
A late brunch can cover the entire day.
Okay.
Yeah, it's true. And it feels like so it's like community and celebration and relaxation and ritual all at once, which is, kind of the essence of having that good food. I don't know. Yeah. When you say you're going for brunch, it can be just like so much communication and being able to talk with the other people over good food. I mean, it's huge. I don't know. I'm tangenting.
And it pairs with champagne.
There you go. Even better, a champagne brunch.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say we should have probably added afternoon tea for you being in London.
Oh yeah. See, also pairs with champagne. but yeah, because you have that savory and that sweet element, and everything is just one perfect bite of. Oh, don't even get me started about afternoon tea.
Fortnum and Mason has the best afternoon tea, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
We really enjoyed afternoon tea. Christina came to visit me on the island, and we went to the Empress to have afternoon tea. So,
I've never been to the Empress, and that's on my list.
Well, please come.
Well,
it is lovely. We
I'll
were
come
being judges as we were tasting everything. We were like, we took an awful long time to eat that tray full of goodies.
Were you kind though? Were you kind?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. We channeled our inner Kyla and Bruno.
I don't think we could be unkind. It's not in us. So
no.
All right. Cheesecake. No bake, American style baked, Basque, or Japanese.
Oh. Basque. Because I like the burnt, I like that. I like a proper Basque cheesecake. And at the hotel, I don't know, Christina, if you got to eat dessert, but our pastry chef is from the Basque region. And so shamelessly, we can just go and ask him for cheesecake anytime we want. So
that sounds so horrible, Kyla.
I know, right? No, he drives him crazy. But he's an incredible pastry chef. And
yeah. Everything except the unbaked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything except the unbaked. But do you remember, Bruno, when somebody made it? Oh my gosh, I don't know if it was Chris Koo, but whoever made a Japanese cheesecake.
I think it was Chris.
On the show. I think it was Chris Koo, who I've had tea with at Fortnum and Mason. So that's awesome. But he that was the first time I'd ever had it. And I was like, oh, now I know why people line up for this. He made a great one.
I haven't had that yet.
Oh, it's so good. And Bruno, you were just recently in Japan as well. Did you find
I have my share of, I love those places because they always kind of reinvent the wheel on texture and flavors. And, we end up eating only street food and 7-Eleven and Lawson Family Market. And frankly, those things were tasty. The sandwich were amazing.
Yeah.
So we didn't even bother to go. We went to a few ramen places, but we did not bother to look for restaurants. It was all street food from kiosk, from little teeny hole on the wall, and a lot of food from 7-Eleven, Family Mart, and Lawson's.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. They have great food.
I mean, I remember getting up with my son at 3 a.m. to go to Family Mart to get local sandwich.
Wow.
It's tasty, it's good. And, desserts were amazing. Ice creams were just out of this world, So you don't even understand what it means. You can, the photo can give you a cue what's the flavor, and then you try, and it's so different.
Yeah.
The same for cheesecake, we have a few cheesecake on the street, and
Nice. I think that's one of my favorite parts of travel is eating. my way through wherever I am. And it's just so much fun. I mean, the people are incredible, culture is incredible, but that food and then the community and then having that experience around other people eating the food. And I mean, it's just there's nothing like it.
What I like about Asian food too, Western, like European food tend to be sweet or salty. But Asian overlapped often and they create amazing flavors,
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
true. Yeah, my son was in Japan, I think it was either just before you went or right around the same time. And then Christina went to Japan right around the same time too. And I was like, okay, I think I need to go to Japan.
Yes.
It seems like it's the place to be.
We had such a good time. We came back and we already booked another trip. We're going back in March because there is so much to do and 2 weeks wasn't enough. And we just got the ticket and March 21st, we're back in Japan and Korea this time.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
that
fun.
is amazing.
I mean, across the board, my son said it was the best vacation ever. So
that's so great.
Yeah, for me too. I've been to Japan 20 years ago, but this time was fun.
Yeah. And probably getting to experience it with your son as well, I think would be very special. And yeah. Nice.
Wonderful. Have you been, Kyla?
Oh, yes. But it has been a long time and I'm long overdue. My niece was just there for her honeymoon and I still have friends at Air Canada and so they're often there and so I get lots of pictures, I get lots of stories, but it's been probably 15 years since I've been. So, well, yeah, but love it. It's on my it's on my list of things to do and explore the entire island.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah,
oh, yeah.
I agree. We were there for 10 days and definitely not even near enough time to explore everything that Japan has to offer. So looking forward to getting back one day as well. All right. Well, this leaves us our last this or that question.
This is the big question.
This is the most controversial one ever.
You've been asked this before.
I'm sure you've been asked this
before you ask the question.
This is where the judgment comes in.
All right, ready? Butter tarts, raisins or no raisins?
I knew that's what you were gonna ask.
Kyla, do you want to take the stab at this one?
Okay, I love all butter tarts. I love raisins. I love pecans, but especially maple butter tarts.
All right.
Raisins, pro raisins all the way. Everyone else is wrong.
Look at Christina's resting judgment face.
I know. I love it.
I'm a bit neutral on that because I did not grow up on butter tart. We have some recipes similar, but it's not that big in France. Both makes me happy if it's baked properly.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a fair answer, right? Yeah. Christina, nobody wants currants in it.
I hold no grudge against any bakery.
Oh, no. Currants are good too. Currants are delicious too.
Currants and butter tarts are the bomb.
Yeah.
But
okay. See, this is great. We all agree somehow or other.
I started doing my weekend scones with currants, and I may or may not be soaking them in port wine overnight. And wow, does it work? That makes happy breakfast.
Happy breakfast indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Currants. I'm just in love with currants right now.
Yeah, I love a good currant as well. Like a good currant bake is incredible. Yeah, I agree with you. Eccles cakes. Those are really good.
Yeah. I have not had that.
Oh.
I'm not really big on currants, so I'll take raisins in my butter tarts, but I don't think I want to try currants. I'm not huge on texture in bakes. And that's one of the things I've learned from watching the show and doing the bakes is incorporating more texture because I tend to really just smooth all the way. Give me just everything that doesn't crunch. But now I'm starting to appreciate texture more. So thank you for that. And we like to wind up our show by asking our guests to give us a baking scrap. So that would be a tip or trick for our listeners to help them in their baking journey. So if you can think of one of those, we would love to hear it.
A baking tip.
I mean, if you bake cookies, sponge, pies, dusting with icing sugar before baking create that beautiful little crust and texture on the top. So
Okay.
if your cookies are a bit dull looking, dust icing sugar, bake them, and you have a nice little something on the top.
That's a good
And
tip.
that is good. And you would do that on any cookie, whether it be a sugar
Yeah, even
cookie or
chocolate chip cookie. I mean, if you go heavy, it looks a bit like snowing on the top. It does kind of crackle. I do it on semolina cake. I do it on pound cake.
semolina
Just to
cake.
give a little something to it.
And actually, but even using a little bit of granulated sugar will help your cake release. I don't think that's a new trick, but along the same vein, that's another one that I do a lot. And then sometimes it adds a hint of texture too. A nice when you take it out of the pan.
Perfect. Those are great tips.
Amazing.
Mhm.
So good. I'm hungry again now, Lisa.
know.
How about you?
Well, yeah, I'm looking at this buttercook sitting here and I'm just like, okay, it looks ready to eat. I think that's
Yeah.
going to be my lunch. Cookies were my breakfast and the buttercook is going to be my lunch.
Amazing.
That's amazing. I'm taking my secretary to my in-laws, I think, who are Austrian. So hopefully they will appreciate it. Hopefully I didn't screw it up too much. I did change it up a little bit. So Kyla, you may not like it. I mean, the cake is the usual, but the apricot, I added a little bit of cardamom and vanilla to the apricot jam.
Oh, that's a good thing. I mean, I'm
That would be
sure
good.
Austria is revolting right now, but I think those are great. What a great flavor to bring in. I think we don't use cardamom enough. So I think that's just, brilliant.
Agreed.
Brilliant. Oh, let me know how it tastes. I can't
Yes,
wait.
I will. I will.
I wish
Thank
we
you.
could share them with you. It would be lovely. I said that we should ask you to judge them, but Christina said we'll give you a break from judging.
You've judged a lot over the last little while, I'm sure. And seriously, like I said, we cannot be more excited for season 8. The bakers, the bakes themselves, the fashion. You guys always look so perfectly pulled together, and can't wait to see what the show will bring for season 8. And yeah, we thank you for coming into our living rooms every Sunday for the next 8 weeks. I am so looking forward to it. So my favorite time of the year, watching the Great Canadian Baking Show. So thank you guys so much for that.
And thank you for doing this, because it just goes to show what a celebration it is, and to have you invite us into your homes is so exciting, and to be a part of that. So thank you, and thanks for baking along too, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? And sharing. And I love all the people that are connected on the different sites and chats, and it's just it's amazing. And I love that you keep celebrating the bakers that we've had too.
We love the bakers.
Everything they do is their whole lives get sort of edited into this moment in time. And so, what a neat thing that you keep it alive. So thank you.
Absolutely. And that's how Lisa and I met, actually, was through our love for the Great Canadian Baking Show. And that's another awesome part of the show, is how it actually does bring the baking community together. And we're so thrilled and honored to have this platform to share our passion, but then also hopefully inspire others along the way to come along on this great baking journey and meet all these incredible people. And so having the opportunity to have a conversation with the two of you, and then hopefully a lot of the bakers from season 8 will join us over the next little bit as well. That would be fabulous. And we've had such great support from everybody else as part of Great Canadian Baking Show. It's been, I mean, we pinch ourselves that we are so lucky to be able to do this. So thank you for joining us. It's really means a lot to us. Thank you.
We're so grateful. Yes. Did we ever tell the story of how you and Kyla actually ended up meeting?
No, do we have time for that? A quick extra little bit?
This is the extra, the outtakes.
The outtakes. So how?
I can tell it from. I'll tell my end.
Yeah, okay, I want to hear, because I've heard hers.
That would be great.
My in the hotel. So I'm the learning and development manager at the Corinthia Hotel in London, and it's
a beautiful property.
It's just a gorgeous property. It's a beautiful family business. It's one of the top 15 hotels in London. And my office is in the not so glamorous basement, as it always is. And so I do all of the planning of all of the training throughout the hotel. And so usually if I get called upstairs, it's because somebody needs just a little correction on maybe how they're setting their table or what they're doing in the kitchen. And, that's usually why I get called up from the basement. And when I got called up and they said, "Oh, can you come to the garden, one of our outdoor dining areas?" And when I got there, the waiters were kind of giggling. They said, "You don't know why you're here." And I said, "Oh no, what can I do for you?" And then Cristina was there and we got to meet. So that was like, I had no idea that she was here from Canada and knew the show. So it was a beautiful, beautiful honorary moment.
Oh, I was so grateful for you and your kindness and how gracious you were. And it was just like seriously a highlight. So I was in London because my husband actually travels a fair bit for work. And now that I'm kind of retired, I get the opportunity to tag along on some of his trips. So we were in London, and so he's out for most of the day doing whatever he needs to do. And so I actually just wander and enjoy the city and eat and check out all sorts of different wonderful, wonderful things. And London is one of my favorite cities in the world as well. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful place. And I love it there. And I knew that Kyla worked at the Corinthia because I follow you on Instagram and you talk about it a fair bit and all that kind of stuff. And it looked like a beautiful place. So sometimes when my husband's out all day and he had dinner planned for that evening as well, so I was on my own for the whole day, what I decide to do is go to a really nice place and splurge and have a beautiful meal in a beautiful location. And so I thought, I'll just go to the Corinthia because it sounds amazing. And so that's what I did that day and went and I sat down and it was beautiful. It was just, I think you just transitioned to your fall decor that day.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yes, yes.
And it was the room, it's a garden area, but it was just absolutely stunning, like beauty and detail all around you. And the menu was zero exception. It was incredible. It was so hard to decide. But anyway, so I had ordered my meal and was waiting, and the great server came by, and I'm like, and the whole time I'm thinking, I know Kyla, works here. I wonder, oh my God, would it be horrible if I did this? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you know what? I'm here. What are the chances that she's even here today? Blah, blah, blah. I'll just put it out there and ask. So asked our server, and I'm like, I'm a big fan of Kyla's Great Canadian Baking Show. I'm from Canada. Any chance she might be here? I would love to say a quick hello and let her know how much I appreciate the work she does on Great Canadian Baking Show. And so he goes, well, let me see what I can do. And then a little bit of time passed. And then all of a sudden I see Kyla walking. And seriously, I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this is happening. And sure enough, she come, you were so beautiful. What a wonderful person you are. And like I said, I cannot express how kind you were and how generous you were. And it really was the highlight of my whole entire trip that we took to Europe that year. So thank you.
Well, it was so much fun, but honestly, Christina's not telling the truth. She barely got to eat her lunch because the two of us were talking nonstop.
That's wonderful.
And I felt so bad. I was like, oh no.
I would have gladly paid 3 times that amount just to have that experience chatting with you. It was just such a wonderful time.
Wow, it was so great and so nice to see you again, even though it's like we're in the same room. So
yeah,
and
so
Lisa,
great
to meet you too. Just
so wonderful to meet you. Yes, it's great. I've met Bruno before. We met when I first auditioned season 3, and he was gracious enough to chat with me a little bit, and we've kind of chatted online very occasionally, and then I popped my head in and waved at you when you were in the casting for this season. It was like hi, I better go because I've overstayed my welcome already because I was flitting around the room for about 4 hours chatting with everybody. But this has been just such a wonderful connection and chat for us. We're so grateful that you both took the time out of your schedules to be here and to talk with us a little bit, and that we can share this with everybody just as we're about to launch into season 8. And we're thrilled, just
cannot wait.
Cannot
like
wait to watch.
seriously, it is Christmas morning for us.
Yeah. Yes.
So
It's
it'll
wonderful.
be so much fun. And Bruno, we have to meet one day too. I mean, you live in the same area.
Yeah, yeah.
We've not
Please
run into
reach
each
out
other.
anytime and I'd be happy.
That would be fantastic. Maybe we can check out that bakery in Richmond or the
Yeah.
chocolate shop
Yeah,
Mhm.
as
chocolate
well,
shop.
the East Van Roasters.
Yes. And standing invitation to join us at the Empress for tea, either one of you, both of you.
Yes, Kyla.
Kyla, you really do have to do it. I don't know how it compares to Fortnum and Mason, but it's pretty special here. So
Any
World Relief, so.
afternoon tea is lovely because I think it's about, again, that sharing of food and time with each other and really gives you that opportunity to connect over some nice bites.
yes.
So
Thank you both. We hope you have a good rest of your day, night.
Thank you.
yes,
We
Yes.
look forward to talking to
Thank
you
you.
again soon.
yeah.
Bye, Kyla. Bye, Lisa.
I'll be
Bye,
back.
Cristina.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. We'll see you all soon. Take
Thank
care.
you so
good.
much.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. Am I freaking out as much on the outside as I was on the inside?
No, you look totally cool as a cucumber. I think I was like going totally starstruck speaking to both of them. Like,
But they're such lovely like people. They're
Aren't
just
they?
people, but they're so great to talk to. And
the
yeah.
best humans. They really are. And
Yeah.
and again, you know, we chat about this often, right? It's the kindness, the warmth, the joy.
Yeah.
Great Canadian Baking Show is, I don't think there's anything out there that's better than what we actually see and witness on TV. And it's just a magical thing.
And all of the people that are involved to make this a reality. And we're not just talking about the hosts and the judges and the casting team. Like every single one of these bakers that has been part of this show over the last 8 seasons has this full, wonderful, interesting life. And we get to talk to them about all of it. And then you think about all the other people that are involved, the costume people, the makeup people, the set designer, the people who are the culinary team. Like I said, culinary properly that time. All of the people who are just coming together, the camera people, you know, and then there's editors and then there's musicians and then, well, maybe, I don't know, maybe they just use the same music over and over again for.
They can always call Rosemary with the kazoo. She could probably get a kazoo ensemble together.
Oh man, yeah. If we ever get Rosemary on the show, we've got to definitely make sure we have kazoos with us. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Your tort for Kyla looks absolutely beautiful.
Oh, that was an effort.
Yes.
The behind the scenes on it was ugly.
But you did it and you presented it, and I bet she wished she could take a big bite of it.
Well, thank you, my dear. And your butter cake, what's it called?
Butterkoek.
Butterkoek.
Botterkoek.
Okay. That
Butter cake. Dutch butter cake.
However you want to say it, however I'm saying it, it looks stunningly, spectacularly delicious with all that butter in it.
I'm not going to take a bite because then I won't be able to finish talking, but it's pretty tasty. It's a classic.
Amazing. Yeah, no, it's beautiful. So I'm going to try one of those actually. So
you certainly may. I
Yeah.
would love to see how that turns out for you. It's very, very straightforward. So no problems. Well, later on today, premiere of the Great Canadian Baking Show.
Cannot wait.
Cannot wait.
I know we
So
keep
excited.
saying that, but seriously, how much excitement is it for this new season? And wow, what a cast, what an intro so far. All of the bakers' bios, everything. I mean, we talked about it earlier.
Ad nauseum, we can just keep going.
I'm just going to be completely blown away, I think, by what we see on a Great Canadian Baking Show for season 8. I'm
thrilled. I'm so thrilled. So looking forward to it. Have a blast watching, and we will be talking about it right here
tomorrow.
We will be having special guests joining us for the recap of episode 1, and that will be our very own Vincent Chan and Stephen Levitt, who have agreed to join us and give their points of view, and I cannot wait. So
I cannot wait either. So season 8 of Great Canadian Baking Show starts tonight. 8 p.m. wherever you are, whatever time zone
8
you're in, it is 8 o'clock. But you can also watch it on.
The Gem app, and you can watch that right now because it was already on as of about 8 o'clock this morning. So
Have you already watched it?
probably. No, I'm going to a premiere party, so I'm going to watch it there.
That is awesome. And all the best. How fun will that be to cheer on our friend Jen Childs
Yes.
live and in person?
I know it'll be great. And I can't
So
wait
lucky
to
to do
see
that.
Christine. Can't wait to meet all the other bakers. And yeah, let's go for a fabulous season.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
It'll be
Thanks,
an
everybody.
awesome one. And
will.
I think you could see the enthusiasm in Bruno and Kyla's faces as well.
They're so
about
ready.
tonight.
Yeah, they're so ready. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Thanks,
it's going to be a good
everybody.
one. Yeah.
We'll
Bye,
see you soon.
everyone.
Happy
Happy
baking.
baking.